An update now on the church shooting in Sutherland Springs, Texas, that left 26 dead, plus the gunman. We want to talk to Steve Rogers, a former member of the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force and retired Lieutenant Commander of the United States Navy Office of Naval Intelligence. Thanks very much for being with us tonight, sir.
You're welcome.
So, your initial reaction to the description of the suspect, what we know about him so far, 26-year-old white male, possibly discharged dishonorably from the Navy. Does that ring any bells for you to describe someone who fits a profile?
Well, a couple of points. One is, obviously, we don't know the motive yet. It's very important. My gut is that he may know somebody in that community or in that church. But, Rick, I've got to share with you that there seems to be a common denominator, a common thread, if you will, that is surfacing with all these killers, that the Internet is becoming the training ground of most of these killers. This guy was armed to the tilt. He had a vest on, a protective vest. He was dressed in black. So he did have some training from somewhere. And most of the time, law enforcement is learning is that they're getting that training off the Internet. And I share that with you because moving forward, law enforcement is going to need the help of the social media giants. They see what's on their platforms. They're going to have to be able to take this stuff down and notify law enforcement if they perceive there's a real threat.
We've been hearing that from leaders of law enforcement, and even after the terror attack recently here in New York City, where they said, you know, we have all these millions of eyes and ears out there on the streets. In addition to law enforcement, just private citizens who may see something need to say something. What should people be looking for?
Well, first and foremost, people need to get out of their heads that if they call the police, that they're going to be involved in court cases, that they're going to be involved in interviews. You know, and that's why most people don't want to get involved. They're afraid to get involved. So they need to make the call. You don't have to leave their names, number one. Number two, your instinct, my instinct. We have instinct as human beings. If your instinct is saying there's something wrong with what I'm seeing, make the call. But more importantly, Rick, and I know you've heard this throughout the broadcast, our social media giants, the CEOs of these corporations need to step up and say, look, we're going to do our part now. We have to do our part because it's a matter of public safety.
Does law enforcement take those calls seriously, or is there a lot of eye rolling when people call up and say, I think my neighbor might be up to something?
I believe they take it safely. I believe the problems of manpower, the problems of getting the investigators out there. The president has made it clear more money, more manpower, more equipment is going to be going into the war, not only on terrorism, but on crime. So that's what the problem is, Rick. It's budgetary, but the safety of the people of this country must come first. And you're going to see, I believe, a lot more money is going to be rolling into these little communities as well as the cities in order to pull stuff together.
And I asked a previous guest this, Lieutenant Commander, about the difference between foreign terrorists and homegrown terrorists, homegrown shooters. What do you see here?
Well, a foreign terrorist, you're talking about an ideology, to advance an ideology like ISIS. What I see here, and believe me, it's just based on what I'm seeing, we got a guy here that had some sort of a problem with that particular church or that community, and he went in and he decided to target them. Maybe, just maybe, he was going to go off and shoot somewhere else. We'll never know that. But thank God for that citizen who got involved. And if that citizen was armed, God bless them. Thank God they were armed.
Yeah, a guy outside the church with a weapon who sees this person, engages him, and leads to his death, apparently. And I mean, he may be a hero, that person. We got to go. Steve Rogers, we appreciate your time tonight. And we'll be back with much more news coming up next hour. So please